we had was our flight back, and there was 50 people on a plane that holds 175. So everyone pretty much had their own row and could do whatever they wanted to. It was pretty awesome. So there are some benefits, I guess. If you are willing to travel during these times, you can certainly get some great deals and don't have to worry too much about crowds in these days. But it is great to be back. Missed all you guys. And of course, my phone's going off last Monday telling me, hey, you're supposed to be on Toastmasters. What are you doing? You're supposed to be on Toastmasters. It keeps reminding me, it's almost time. It's almost time. 30 minutes, 10 minutes, time. What are you doing? So it was, y'all definitely were on my mind last week. And it looked like I watched some of the tape from last week. It looked like y'all had a wonderful meeting. I really enjoyed watching Laura's speech about genealogy. That was pretty cool. So great meeting last week. And once again, I missed you guys. All right, so we shall get started with the pledge. And today, instead of me just taking over the pledge, I am going to ask if there's a volunteer to say the pledge today. It looks like no one's volunteering. Oh, there we go, Tammy. All right, Tammy.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I had the quick, that was a quick power loss right there, but my backup saved us right there. So, all right. Anyway, it's pretty rough here right now. So if I drop off, you guys, I'll just get back on as soon as I can. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and put it over to the Toastmaster so we can move this thing along in case y'all do lose me. So, Jim, take it away, sir.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Are we also streaming on Facebook? Facebook Live. Welcome all you Facebookers. Today, I have chosen the theme of early explorers. You know, the United States did not happen just because 12 people decided to come across the ocean and say, here we are. It took a lot of hard work from people who ventured into the unknown. And I'd say that people in the United States, as well as folks all over the world, continue to venture into the unknown. Many of you, show me your hands, have heard of Lewis and Clark. Lewis and Clark. But have you ever heard of Dunbar and Hunter? Well, what you probably realize, in 1803, President Thomas Jefferson purchased Louisiana, or they call it the Louisiana Purchase, because he bought a whole lot more than Louisiana for his buck. He got everywhere from Montana down to the tip of Louisiana, which includes New Orleans, but more on that as we go on. Right now, I'd like to introduce our word master grammarian to give us a word we can sneak in as we're using our speaking roles. Please help me welcome Andrea Ferguson.
Thank you, dear Toastmaster. Dear Toastmasters and guests viewing, my name is Andrea Ferguson, and I am your WAG of today. What is the WAG? The WAG provides a word of the day, counts your ahs, your so's, your ums, watches your grammar, and I'll be doing that by taking notes throughout the meeting. First, I would like to give you the word of the day, which is dossier. Did I say that correctly to our French speaker? Yes, I did. Did you know gathering together various documents related to the affairs of a certain individual, sorting them into separate folders, labeling the spine of each folder, and then arranging them into a box is a dossier. It's the French word for such an arrangement of spine labeled folders. I'm going to send you a picture for those of us who are online together of what a dossier looks like. But first, I'll give you an example of dossier in a sentence. The Attorney General has criticized Mueller for seeming to ignore the possibility of Russian disinformation in Still's dossier. Another example, at Lowe, Jonathan Anderson is fusing a 24-hour day of live streaming with a very offline dossier delivered to friends, collaborators, and the press that details every aspect of his spring 2021 menswear collection. This is your word of the day. dossier. Dear Toastmaster.
Dossier. Well, I'm certain while William Dunbar and George Hunter were exploring most of Louisiana, also known as an alligator-infested, lumber-clogged river in the parched Southwest, they probably created a lot of those dossiers to deliver to Thomas Jefferson. Next on our agenda, would our general evaluator like to explain what your role will be throughout this meeting? Please help me welcome Craig Sprout.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. As today's general evaluator, my job is to run the evaluation portion of the meeting. I firmly believe and always will believe is the most important part of our meeting. Now, my job is to also at the end give a evaluation of the meeting overall, where I'll look at several things and give a report on how we did. And also I'll be serving as the evaluator, which means I will be evaluating Tammy's speech. And helping me with the evaluation portion is our timer, Shankar Ponsalé. And if Shankar could give a brief description of his role, that would be amazing. Shankar.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It is indeed very important to understand what the timer's role is in Toastmasters. And for that, we need to understand that it is an art to come up and find out which is the times that are allocated for a certain speech. So that being said, and I'm a little bit distracted here with video management, but I think this is better. That being said, I will use colors to indicate at which stage the different speakers are. We have table topics tonight, impromptu speeches, and those range from 1 to 2 minutes. At the 1 minute mark, I will show a green background. At the 1 minute and 30 seconds mark, I will show a yellow background. And at 2 minutes, I will show a red background. For the speaker of the night, I will use the same colors, and assuming that the speech is between 5 and 7 minutes long, I will use green at 5 minutes, yellow at 6 minutes, red at 7 minutes. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Mr. Timer. So a little bit more about our early explorers. Not only did William Dunbar and George Hunter explore a lot of Louisiana, but there was another pair about the same time, 1806, called Freeman and Custis. Now their job was to explore the Red River. They traveled from Natchez, Mississippi, all the way down to the present day New Boston, Texas. And Custis described it as impenetrable swamps and more than 100 miles worth of lakes. I don't think he liked water too much. Maybe an awful lot of canoeing. I couldn't say. But our next item on our agenda is our prepared speech. And our speaker of the night, Tammy Perez, has been a charter member of this club and been coming to most of the meetings. I never see a meeting without her. And tonight's topic is all about being grateful. And in this day and age, that's sometimes difficult. Oh no, we're all out of paper goods at the store. Oh no, have you seen the price of beef lately? But here to help us learn how to be grateful and focus on the positive, Tammy Perez with her speech, How to Be Grateful.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. I wanted to start by talking about the project itself. The project itself asked me to focus on my moods, on my attitudes, to focus on my emotions. And so I looked up immediately online the emotion wheel. And I realized that I have all the feels. I feel way more than what that emotion wheel gave me. So I started writing down every single day all of my emotions and my moods. I focused on the positive. I actually looked at the negative as well. I focused on my accomplishments and things that I wished I had accomplished. And then I focused on 3 things every single day that I was grateful for. I found out very shortly that writing every day on something like this, it became a chore. And it wasn't doing what I really wanted it to do, which was adjust my attitude about my day and about things that were going on with me. So I started writing a little bit less and focusing on the big picture. So I want to give you some pointers for how to write a gratitude journal. First of all, as I said, I really felt like my emotions were all over the place. In one day, I could feel happy, I could feel sad, I could feel disappointed, angry, accomplished. I could feel so many things. It was like a roller coaster ride throughout my day. And that really is kind of how we all deal with our emotions. So if you focus on gratitude and how you feel grateful and what you feel grateful for, then I think that that really did move the needle for me on affecting me positively and helping me realize the good things that I have in my life. One pointer that I would give you is, like I said, don't write every day. If it doesn't feel natural and you don't mean what you write down, you're just writing down something to write down something, don't do that. Wait until you have something to say. The second thing I would say is to really focus down on one big item. Explore it. Tell how you really feel about it and the different things about it that made you feel that way. Where were you? How were you? Who were you with? And then the third thing is focus on the people. It's not just actions, but it's people who are doing the actions. For example, I wrote down I was very grateful that my daughter cleaned the house and vacuumed. That was huge for me one day because I had a meeting from 8 in the morning until 8 p.m. at night, and I couldn't stop all day long. And when I got done at 8 p.m. at night, not only had she cleaned the house, she'd vacuumed, and she had actually made something for dinner. So if you can really focus in on those one things that are really items that you're grateful for, that can move the needle for you as you're focusing on the positive.
Outstanding. Let's get that needle moving to the positive side. Mr. Timer, can we have a timer's report on Tammy's speech?
Yes, and I was corrected. Her speech was targeted at 3 minutes, and she did end the speech at 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
Outstanding. In Toastmasters, we practice getting said what we need to say in a specific amount of time. It makes us concise and precise. Speaking of precise, that dossier, well, a fellow by the name of Zebulon Pike, he was crossing about the middle of the country while Meriwether Lewis and William Clark were crossing the top of the country. And at the same time, Dunbar and Hunter were going down the southern part. That Jefferson guy, he sent people all over the place to find out about this great country that he just bought. Well, Zebulon Pike, his job was to go across the mountains, the Rockies. And he saw this large mountain off in the distance, and he said, you know, if we could climb that one, we could see all over. Yes, let's do it. Let's climb that one. It's only 15 miles. Well, that poor mountain was only 15 miles away for the next 5 days. They never made it to that mountain, which is named after him, Pikes Peak. It's now time for our table topics portion of the night. One of my most favorite and terrifying times. Please help us welcome with our table topics, Harlan Pickett.
All right. Thank you so much, Jim. I sure appreciate that. Did y'all know that there are over 1,500 special national days, such as today is National Watermelon Day. Did you know that? National Watermelon Day. It's also National Georgia Day. So if you're in Georgia, today's National Georgia Day. There's one other day it is too. I didn't make this up. It is National Grab Some Nuts Day. Take that however you want to. But my first question for whoever would like to volunteer is, if you could create your own national day, what would you like to have its own national day? Now remember, it may still have it now because there's 1,500 of them. But whether it is in existence or not, you now have the right to have your own national day. What do you believe, Andrea, should be a national day?
Thank you, Mr. Topics Master, dear guests, and those viewing. My name is Andrea, and I'm going to tell you about what Shankar's national holiday would be, because he is the first person that I thought of. Well, you may know, or you may not know, that Shankar has a particular love on this earth that cannot be rivaled, not even with my love, not with anyone's love, not a mother's love, not a Toastmasters Club love, and that is the love for dried mango. Ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you that there should be a national dried mango day, because it seems to be the only most important thing in Shankar's life. And I know that if everyone can eat dried mango and become as revitalized and uncranky, which is very rare because he's always eating dried mango, and whatever else that need it fills in your life, then that is a reason enough why we should have it. It doesn't matter if he's had a cup of whole fresh mango 30 minutes beforehand. It doesn't matter if he's drank mango juice. It doesn't matter if it's morning, noon, or night. The man will find a way to get his dried mango and order not one, not two or three or four, but 5 bags, ladies and gentlemen, of dried mango in our grocery list. You may have thought that actual other items like vegetables or a protein might be more important, but apparently you need to have 5 bags of dried mango. That's all I'm saying, is that it should be a national holiday, and then I could also be left alone because he could eat everyone else's mango and not just prey upon mine. Dear Mr. Topics Master.
Wow, that was very impressive. You completed a whole dossier on Shankar and dried mango. Without a doubt, I can see the binder on it now. I can see the different sections. You completely gave us a true idea of how much Shankar loves dried mangoes. Thank you so very much, Andrea. That was very thorough. So as we get ready for the rest of the week, what do we have coming? Well, we have National Coast Guard Day. Very cool. All right. National Night Out, which I always thought was in October, but apparently in some places they can actually go outside in August. You can't do that in Texas. So we don't have National Night Out in Texas. Maybe that's somewhere up north. And then, of course, the best one, National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. Yes. So let's talk about chocolate chip cookies. I truly like chocolate chip cookies. I think sugar cookies are better. That's my own personal. But the worst thing that can happen to me is I grab a chocolate chip cookie and it's oatmeal raisin. The disappointment and the absolute horror. I've been there. I've done that. It's not fun. So what is your favorite cookie, Jim Lowry? And why is that your favorite cookie?
Well, I have to say, when I'm looking at a platter of cookies, if this particular cookie is not there, I have to pass. I look them over and I see the chocolate chip, and there are some good chocolate chip cookies. And I see the sugar cookies with their obvious great taste. And there's the cookies with the red sprinkles and the blue sprinkles and whatever other color you put on them. But when it comes to oatmeal raisin, I cannot pass them by. Why is that? Well, as you may have noticed, I put on a few pounds, and so there's this guilt that follows cookies everywhere. But oatmeal, you eat that for breakfast. So oatmeal's okay, and raisins are fruit. So oatmeal cookies, breakfast, and fruit. That's the perfect combination. Not to mention they're soft, they're chewy, they're easy on my old teeth. They're delicious. You can even put oatmeal raisin cookies on cereal and have that for breakfast. And oatmeal raisin is my favorite cookie. Did you want to know about my favorite pie? Well, we're not going to talk about that. The topics, Master.
All right. Thank you so much, Jim. Great. Yeah, I definitely have to disagree with you on the oatmeal raisin. I just can't do it. It's not, there's something inherently wrong in my opinion of that. I think probably the first time I had one, I was thinking it was a chocolate chip cookie. And when I bit in and didn't get what I was expecting, it was just not right. Didn't work out very well for me. All right. So Thursday, what could we possibly have on Thursday this week? Well, we have National Oyster Day. Not a fan of oysters myself. We also have National Underwear Day. Now, if you look on what they tell you about National Underwear Day, what they're asking you to do for that, and this has been around since 2003, is they're asking you to take a picture of yourself in your underwear and post it on social media. Apparently, every day's underwear day for many celebrities that we know, because that seems to be something they do quite often. But my favorite day on Thursday, favorite national day, it's National Work Like a Dog Day. Work like a dog day. Kind of like that. But why do they say work like a dog? Okay, I would say that definitely dog's my favorite, but there's a lot of other animals out there, a lot of pets you can have. People have snakes and lizards and cats and all kind of different things. But what is your favorite pet that you've ever had or that you believe you ever will have, Mr. Poncelet?
Mr. Table Topics Master, my favorite pet clearly still is a dog because I grew up with dogs. As a matter of fact, I believe I can say that a dog was a sibling of mine when I was growing up. I had a single parent and there was nobody around when she was at work, and I was an only child, so dogs actually fulfilled the role of me, of a sibling of mine, which of course created a very strong bond between that animal and me. Now, lately, of course, as you all know, my latest dog had to pass, had a great life, so no problem with that. Now that I have overcome the first wave of mourning, I am looking at other animals that I could fall in love with and possibly keep as a pet. And there are currently 3 in the race, so I'm not quite decided yet. The first one would be a donkey. I love their big ears and their cute faces with white muzzles. The second one would be a piglet, although that is dangerous because we went to a farm recently and we were warned that even those small piggies become pretty heavy, although they are very, very intelligent animals. And the last one would be a sloth. Andrea yesterday showed me movies of sloths and I kind of fell in love just by watching those very lazy animals that seem to know how to enjoy life. So I'm not quite decided yet, but I'll let you guys know during my next table topic. Alan?
All right. Thank you so much, Shankar. Yeah, I've seen a couple of those sloth videos myself. They're pretty adorable. I love the one where the guy helps the sloth across the road and the sloth turns around like he's giving him the big thumbs up. Thank you so much for getting me out of that craziness. It's hard to imagine an animal that truly is speeding up at that rate of slowness. I'm fairly certain that I've known some people like that too. However, I will not mention any names today because we're on Facebook. You know, we don't want anybody to get offended. All right. So what is Friday? We had National Root Beer Float Day. We got Fresh Breath Day. Well, I know some people need to take advantage of that. We got Wiggle Your Toes Day. And we have National IPA Day. IPA is just a type of beer. And we'll go into beer more here in just a little bit. But I have never been a big fan of root beer. So I don't really care for a root beer float. However, you can pretty much make a float with a number of other drinks. I don't like a lot of sweet stuff nowadays, but I kind of always liked a Dr. Pepper float. I even liked an orange drink float. So, Tammy, what is your favorite float?
I have not had a float since I was probably in middle school. It's been a very long time. I have had ice cream drinks, though, that approximate a float, and but they're not something that everybody can drink. For example, the last ice cream drink that I drank had rum in it, and it had butter, and it was right around Christmas. It was a hot buttered rum drink. Oh, my Lord, that was amazing. So if I could have a choice as to having an ice cream drink, I think that probably that would be my favorite. I think shakes also, though, are similar. They use ice cream in them. And my favorite shake is a chocolate shake. But again, you add a little Kahlua and, you know, it just brightens things up somehow. So you can kind of get the theme there. I think that that's pretty much it as far as floats for me.
All right. Great. Thank you very much. Those adult floats are also very tasty. Absolutely. When we were on vacation, I guess you can say that my wife had a couple of pina colada floats. Yes. Yes, she did. I'm not much of a pina colada guy, but I tell you what I am a beer guy. And that is a day that's coming up. And here's interesting. We have Purple Heart Day, National White House Day, Raspberries and Cream Day, National Weather Balloon Day, National Water Balloon Day. But beer is so important, it's International Beer Day. Oh no, not just National Beer Day, International Beer Day. So, Mr. Sprout, I'm going to give you a choice. You can talk about your favorite beer, or you can tell us what you believe should have an international day because it's so much more important than it should be than just a national day. So, Mr. Sprout, tell us all about it.
I'm not 100% sure why, but I kind of feel like you saved that beer one for me, Harlan. And I will tell you this, and you gals can probably guess it, I like beer. As Tom T. Hall once observed, it makes me a jolly good fellow. Sometimes it helps me unwind, and sometimes it makes me feel mellow. That's a great old country song. It's a great country song if you're not familiar and want to listen to some. My favorite beers, and this kind of actually ties into the float, my favorite beers are usually porters and stouts. I love me a pint of Guinness, and I could drink probably 3 or 4 or more at a sitting. And the strangest thing I've ever done with the Guinness is make a Guinness float. Now you may be thinking to yourself, oh my God, that sounds horrific. And you would be wrong. It is oddly delicious. The ice cream starts to melt and you get that creamy texture coming throughout the Guinness, which is a little creamy anyway, and it is a wonderful taste treat. And I would recommend it anytime. And if you're interested, especially in today's when we have coronavirus and sickness everywhere, there is or was a documentary out there called How Beer Saved the World. And it talks about how the fermentation process, when it was discovered, when beer was first made in Egypt, the alcohol in that fermented beer actually helped kill a lot of the pathogens and stuff that were making people sick. And And so beer literally saved the world. What is not to love about beer? Mr. Topics Master.
All right. Thank you so much, Craig. Yeah, I might have been holding on to that one for you, buddy. I might have seen a post or two on Facebook that led me to believe that you might like a cold beverage now and then. I will say that I have had the float that you're speaking of with Guinness, and I had it at a bar in Chicago, of all places, called Stocks and Blondes, and it is across from the stock exchange there in Chicago. And it was a number of years ago, and a patron there that we had got to know, a buddy and I got to know, he bought those for us. And we were like, there is just no way we're drinking these things. And so, but you know, someone buys it for you, at least got to try it. And I was shocked by how delicious it truly was. So thank you so much for reminding me about that. I may have to endeavor in one of those before long. I certainly appreciate everyone's participation and giving wonderful dossiers on your answers. I shall now turn it back over to our Toastmaster, Mr. Jim Lowry. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Harlan. Those were excellent questions, but I do have a request of our timer. May we have a timer's report on our respondents?
Yes, you can. Andrea was spot on with 2 minutes. Jim came in at 1 minute and 18 seconds. Myself, I spoke for 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Tammy, 1 minute and 4 seconds. And Craig, 1 minute and 56 seconds.
Outstanding. Everyone did such an excellent job. Shankar, are we using the polling for voting on the best table topics, or are we sending you a private chat?
I will set up the polling now. I haven't had the chance to do that yet as I was timing, but should have that ready in about a minute.
Outstanding. So while Shankar is doing that, and before we jump into our general evaluation portion, I do want to add that our explorers that I've been talking about were on traveling the country for about 2.5 years each. They all left about the 1804, 1805 time frame and traveled out to explore the country and bring back in their dossiers reports of what they found of this great land of ours to Thomas Jefferson, so that he could decide, well, what do we do with this great place that we now live in? It's time now for our evaluation of the meeting to see how well we've done. And to help us with that is our general evaluator, Mr. Craig Sprout. Take it away, Craig.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. As stated earlier in the meeting, my job is to run the evaluation portion of the meeting, which includes the general evaluation, which I will be giving after all other reports are given. And the first one that we give is our first evaluation of Tammy's speech, which it is my honor and privilege to do. So I will begin with my evaluation of Tammy's speech. Toastmasters guests, and especially Tammy, thank you for that. Right out of the gate, let me say that that was probably the best speech I've seen you give to date. You were engaged with the camera. I know that's one of the most difficult things that I struggle with, because I keep trying to look at the camera and then I also am looking at you. So I have to focus. It's something I need to work on as well. But that was very engaging. You noticed, excuse me, got tongue tied. You know enough to take your glasses off, because those are a distraction. That's why I'm stuttering. I don't have my glasses on, right? I'm going with that. But that was fantastic. And you were so engaged in the material that you had this smile on your face the whole way through. And that really, really brought the speech up a level, I thought, because sometimes we get into just where we're more reciting or trying to come up with what we memorized, and you were flowing with it, and it was just great. It was awesome. And you used good gestures. You had some of them were small gestures, but I think in the Zoom world, the big gestures really don't have as much impact as they used to. So I think your hand gestures were on point. Some things you can improve on. I did catch some filler words, some ums and some ahs. There was, I think, one double clutch, which is what I call when you say a word and then pause and repeat it. It's something I do all the time as well. The virtual background, and I don't know what to do about this. But it was a little bit distracting because your left arm kept disappearing. And it was just a little bit of a distraction. I don't know how to fix that. You wrapped the beginning back to you wrapped the end back to the beginning, which was perfect. A couple of phrases you might want to try to eliminate. To challenge yourself, I would find, and I just did it myself, you use the phrase, I would say, which kind of to me strikes me as funny because there you are saying it, where I would is kind of indicates a contrary statement. And then you use the phrase focus in on. That's a little bit of it's something we hear a lot and people say a lot, but it's grammatically incorrect, and focus on would be the better way to put it. So as you can tell, I really kind of had to dig down to nitpick you because it was such a great speech. And like I say, I love your smile and your engagement and how passionate you felt about your subject really kicked that speech up to the next level. Thank you, Tammy. Okay, and now we'll ask for a timer's report for our evaluator.
Our evaluator was very precise. We had a time of exactly 3 minutes.
Awesome. Now is the part on Toastmasters meetings where we all get humbled a little bit and reminded of our own little verbal tics and what have yous. Let me turn this over to our WAG for this evening, Andrea Ferguson.
Thank you, Mr. Evaluator. Dear Toastmasters and guests, as your WAG grammarian, we know that the more feedback that we receive as speakers or leaders, the better that we can do, the more that we benefit. And as I noted earlier, the purpose of the ah counter is to note the words and sounds that we use as crutches and as fillers, so that we can become aware and reduce this over time. I counted 5 so's in Tammy's speech, but these were leading so's. I wanted to also ask our older Toastmasters, more distinguished Toastmasters, if you also agree or have any reference to using so as a leading word, if that is not really what we are trying to do. Do you have any insight there?
We're trying not to use so as a leading word.
Okay. I just wanted to confirm that it wasn't my own preference and that this was indeed something we were trying to avoid. Thank you for clarifying that, Jim. Also, there was one use of the word and one use of but overall, that was very minimal by comparison. Also a repeat word, I apologize, R, although that's hard to do because if you stutter, you have to get past it. I think it's a reminder to take a breath and then continue on with the rest of our speech. You always get a little bit of satisfaction as the WAG when people use your word of the day. Dossier was used twice by Jim, twice by Harlan. Shankar, I'm impressed that you didn't use the French word dossier that I specifically used because I heard you say it. And I thought, why doesn't this man just say portfolio? But no, the Texan burger has got to use the word dossier. Well, come to find out, he didn't use it once. Am I incorrect or am I correct? Next time you can use dossier. I just have to say hi to our lovely Donna who has entered the room, and it is so lovely to see your beautiful face. We have all missed you.
Fantastic to see you guys. I miss you.
Awesome. Well, you're at the final final portion of the meeting, I as WAG am giving a wrap up on ways that we can improve some of our speech patterns, the ahs, the so's, and the ums, as well as words that we use or phrases in an outstanding way. I really also like, Tammy, in your speech, I didn't tell you, when you used the line, you can really move the needle to positive. I thought that that stood out quite a bit. That is all that I have to report as your WAG, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Andrea. It got stormy out here, so all of a sudden I'm just like this glowing head in the middle of your screen, so I apologize for that. But now I'll give you the general evaluation of our meeting. Presumably we started on time because as I joined about 2 minutes late, I did hear talk about starting on time and taking a recess and then resetting. So I am going to say, yes, we started on time, which was always good. We had a great speaker tonight. Tammy was fantastic. The meeting ran very smooth, even though we had a rather limited agenda. Jim did a great job as Toastmaster. We can always count on Jim to bring some interesting factoids to our attention when he serves as Toastmaster. Harlan had great table topics, very creative, made everyone squirm and think a little bit. And timer job was done with expert precision. All in all, a great meeting and the kind I love to come to. Mr. Toastmaster, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. That pretty much concludes the job of the Toastmaster for this evening, but I believe we have some awards or award to hand out, and perhaps Shankar, you can tell us who our best table topics was.
Yes, we have 4 participations, so I believe 2 people chose not to vote. But according to what I am seeing right now, people very much enjoyed hearing Andrea's dossier about myself, portraying how much I love mango. Congratulations, Andrea.
Okay, I think it's time. I believe Tammy is the one who reviews the next meeting and sees who wants to volunteer for what.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time. At the next meeting, we have a couple roles already taken. Let me pull that up. I apologize. The Toastmaster role is already taken by Harlan, and we have 2 speakers that we don't have any other work with. Let's see, Shankar is next on my screen. So Shankar, what role would you like to take in the next meeting?
You can give me a role of your choosing.
Okay. How about Speech 1 Evaluator?
Sounds good.
Perfect. The next person there is Jim. Do you want to take on a role next week?
I'll be happy to take on anything that's still open, but let me allow your members to choose first.
Andrea.
I will let you decide.
Oh, okay.
Got a second evaluator.
I am going to have you do Table Topics Master.
All right.
Okay. Andrea. Let's see. The next person on my list here is Craig. What would you like?
Oh, I'll take the roll of the dice, whatever you feel like making me do.
How about WAG? Okay.
You got it.
Thank you, Craig. The next one is Harlan.
Oh.
What would you like to do?
I've already signed up for Toastmaster.
Oh, sorry. Yes, you did. And Donna, are you going to be around next week?
I am.
All right. So I have Timer, General Evaluator, and Evaluator 2.
Evaluator 2.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, and I will not be here next week, so I'll try to make sure that the rest of the roles are taken. And I will miss you guys tremendously next week. I do believe that Andrea has something to say.
Thank you, Tammy. As I was confused at the beginning of this meeting, I didn't know exactly what role I had, so I did them all. So I just want to take a couple of minutes to give some feedback on the speakers and the leaders tonight. As I said, Tammy, you had a good example of what you wrote down and focusing on one thing, and that was to really move the needle to the positive. I wrote that I love that Jem uses themes because this is an advanced skill of a Toastmaster. It's hard enough to be Toastmaster, but with this kind of skill, he's able to do the research and bring it in. And it also makes me want to be a Toastmaster who does that. I'll try to hold myself to it. I actually have a story about William York, who is not included in the story of Lois and Clark, right? Lois and Clark. I always get confused with Superman. But anyway, I will be telling you the story on that. And I wanted to also commend Harlan because as Table Topics Master, sometimes even myself, when we're Table Topics Master, we're not always leading with the background of the topics before we go into them, but you managed to do that for each and every single one. And I found that to be very impressive that you were able to do that because it really gives a punch and makes for an interesting meeting. You also have a really good ability to transition, and you know us enough to know what topics correspond to us. Dear Toastmaster.
Dear Toastmaster, that must mean that we're wrapping up this meeting. I appreciate everyone coming, and unless someone else has something else to say, I return control to Shankar.